Well, hello, welcome to another episode of Origination Boost. I'm Mandi Feely Swain, your host, and today I'm very blessed and honored to have my friend Gregg Driggs. He works with me here at Premier, and his partner there in his market in Price, Utah, Carla Saccomano. And she and Gregg have such a great partnership. I've asked him to join today just to talk about how agents and lenders and title companies, how if you have the perfect package and the perfect team, you can get loans and clients to the finish line and buyers happily with their keys. So thank you guys for joining me today.
Thanks for having us. I'm excited.
Hey, good morning.
Let's talk about how you two met and talk about your market. And you're in a fairly small area. So how do you crush it in a small market? And then how did the two of you meet?
Well, before we answer that question,
Okay.
I want you to know Carla just received Hall of Fame award for RE/MAX.
Oh my
And
gosh, awesome.
That's a big deal, and she's in this tiny market here. I just wanted to point that out because she's like, she should be up on a pedestal. So.
Thank you.
Well, that means she works really hard, and you must be doing all the right things and all the hard work and all the daily tasks that you're needing to do in order to really shine and be that in a company that's all over the world, right? So congratulations, that's amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It was a lot of work. Half of it went to Gregg, so thank you, Gregg, for being there and for your hard work. I do appreciate it.
Yeah, we do work really well together, and Mandi. I think we were talking about some of the questions that might come up, and when I moved back into this area, it was a little over 5 years ago, to be full-time. I've always worked in this market, but more as my main market used to be over the mountain, and then I would come over here once in a while. And when I moved back a little over 5 years ago, I had this listing that everybody was worried about. We couldn't do any financing, and so I called the listing agent, which was Carla, and said, would you be willing to meet me at the property, and I'll do a walkthrough, and we'll see if we can get a loan done on this property. And that's kind of how we met again, because we had done business in the past, but just casually. And then after that meeting and seeing how well we worked together, it's just been a great match since then.
So 5 years of partnership, huh?
Yeah.
And you're talking about Price, right? Price.
Not necessarily just Price. We do Carbon, Emery County. I have a lot of houses up in the Wasatch Front too. So
kind of spread out a little bit, because tell me how many people live, like where your office is, Gregg, is a pretty smaller. It's a smaller town, right? I mean, how many people live there?
But it's about 10,000, Carla, in Price proper?
Last I checked, it was 17.
Yeah,
so
17. Still fairly small area. And so, yeah, branching out, to your point, Carla, if you can't make your goals happen, you have to be more diverse and make things happen in a distance, right? Move outside your market if you can't make it happen inside your local market. So Gregg decides to come out to this house, and it's not financeable, or maybe it is. And he's like, I really want to see the house and see the bones of the house, whatever it is. And so you come out there and you're the listing agent. I think that's an awesome opportunity for loan officers that are listening, is look at this beautiful partnership and relationship that started. And had he just maybe said, well, Carla's a listing agent, she doesn't have borrowers I can work with or buyers I can work with, that opportunity would have passed him by. But instead, he took the initiative to go out and look at a property with her and walk the property. And now they have this beautiful friendship and partnership in helping buyers get to the finish line, all because Gregg took that initiative to go out. And Carla, you want to speak to that? I mean, just how that all came to be?
It was actually the first time I had a lender do that. So I was very impressed. He was really knowledgeable, and he was very eager to make the deal work. And I appreciated that. We weren't just a number, because this wasn't the best house and it wasn't the most expensive house. And he didn't care. He treated it as if it was the most expensive house. And so that to me tells me that I can make this deal happen. So I definitely appreciated that.
That's amazing. And then At what point did you guys realize that you actually wanted to work together?
I think it was a ripple effect right after that. It was just one opportunity after another, and we were successful with it, and our clients were happy, and that made us happy.
Yeah, I agree. Carla and I work kind of the same schedule, which is pretty much 24/7. So, Carla knows that if she has a buyer that calls her Sunday night at 9 o'clock, she can reach out to me and I'm going to answer the phone, and we're going to get those people into a home as quickly as possible. So that part works really well. She doesn't need to worry about texting me at 6:30 in the morning, whatever. We both understand, like, so, on your cell phone, you have nowadays, you have certain people that can call you no matter what. And Carla's on that list along with my wife, Becky. So
Becky first, but I'm glad I'm second.
Well, when you bring up that, like, we work the same schedule, or we have the same passion, or we have the same, it really comes to being like-minded and having an understanding of how each of you work. And let's talk about that, because I think that some of the most beautiful partnerships, and I know for me as an originator, the agents I love working with understand that not all deals are going to be simple or easy. Some clients are more stressed out or have higher anxiety, and how you manage through those. And not everything is perfect in the mortgage space or the real estate space. So being able to have that together and to get things done, I think is critical to talk about. And so one thing you guys say, you work at the same times, but you sound very like-minded. So let's talk about that, because I think that that's super key to any great partnership.
I agree. We do work the same. We have the same work ethics. And so when we do have a stressful situation, I think communication is key. And with Gregg and I, we're constantly doing it. And as long as we're in communication with that buyer, they're going to be happy with our services. And that's how we navigate through our stressful situations.
Yeah. Gregg, don't you think that sometimes loan officers that are newer in the space will hold that information on a loan because they're scared to tell the agent what's going on? And at least that's what I found. And my rule has always been tell the truth, tell it right away. Let them know that you're trying to resolve whatever the situation is. But I find that keeps my stress level as a loan officer lower if I'm really honest and forthright with somebody. And if you're not like-minded or aligned, it's really hard to have a successful partnership long-term, because the agent's like, well, then you must not have done your job. No, this is just part of the loan process, and so what do you think of that, Gregg, Carla? I mean, what's your 2 cents on that?
Oh, I agree 100%. Carla, I've always communicated with her and other agents as well as to what's going on. I think the biggest mistake that loan officers make is going silent. Like, if they don't have good news, and they think, don't talk to them. And so on the deals that I get, I'm kind of like the go-to person in town. When somebody else's deal falls apart, just call Gregg and he'll fix it. But almost every time it was a lack of communication. It had nothing to do with the borrower or the property. It was the fact that the loan officer decided to ghost everybody, and people started to get nervous, and then they create their own issues, or like, kind of what could have happened, when it was just simply the loan officer didn't want to pick up the phone.
Carla, you've been doing this a long time. What's your take on that?
I agree 100%. He has saved us on a lot of deals where the lender really ghosted us, and we couldn't communicate with them. He wouldn't get back with us, and that's stressful not only on the buyer but on the seller. So he always picks up. He's right down the road. He always invites people into his office, which is really good, especially when we have younger first-time home buyers that really need to sit down and talk to someone face-to-face. He's always there. So it definitely eases the load, having him here and having him communicating with the buyers.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think too that service level you talked about earlier is key to that communication. Most people can digest the information if they just know it. And riding lightning, I call it riding lightning to the finish line, and then voila, a couple days before closing, telling the story. that's when people get really nervous, right? Their boxes are packed. They're already in stress. They have kids. They got the dogs to move. They're like ready to put their stuff in the U-Haul and head down the road. And that's the last thing they want to talk about, right? They think that at that point, they should be done with their loan. And so that's what I think that's the best coaching that you can get, and to build beautiful partnerships between agents and loan officers, is that high level of communication, high level of honesty to share information as far as what's happening during the transaction. That it does allow that trust and faith to build, right, between loan officers and real estate agents.
I think it's
Absolutely. I think it's the biggest key is just the communication. Carla needs to keep me informed of, when they've done their inspections and how those went. Are we good to move forward? And the same thing. And I know when she calls me and says, well, we had an issue with the inspection, but we're going to handle that. So go ahead and move forward. I know that she'll take care of it on her end, and the same on my end. If I call her and say, well, we don't have the best news this week, however, we're handling it, we'll have it resolved in a couple of days. At least she knows what's going on. That's much better than just radio silence and hoping that everything is okay.
Yeah. How do you two market together? Now that you've worked together so long, how do you get new business in the door? I think that's really important for people to know.
Carla and I are on the radio every Wednesday morning. We do a Wet Nose Wednesday where we sponsor the local animal shelter. So every Wednesday, the two of us are on the radio, and we're not only talking about the animal of the week, the pet of the week, but then we also get to share, what's going on in the market and kind of co-brand together. We put out social media posts together that way. And then Carla, talk about the open house that we did. It was her baby, not, I just was there to support it, but go ahead.
In a small town, it is hard sometimes to get people to come to your open house. And so my team put together kind of like a Parade of Homes open house style, but we decided to do a poker run with it also. And Gregg and Becky sponsored it. So they did all of the treats and everything like that. And we had up to 15 houses, and we actually ran out of cards. I think we had over 68 people that showed up. So it was really good. And again, thanking Becky for all the treats and stuff like that. She does that with all of our open houses. So we absolutely love her.
Well, yeah, Becky, if for those of you listening in, Gregg's better half is Miss Becky, and he will tell you that if he didn't have a Becky, he'd have no business. So having a strong partnership at home and at work like they do is key to Gregg's business and being a top producer. And I love the idea of a poker run. I love that, a lot of times on the agent side, Carla, don't you think that sellers really want you to have that open house, and then you sit the open house for hours and hours and then no one comes, right? And so you're like, goodness gracious. And so I love that idea, because you were able to provide value on your listing through doing that.
I think so too, and I'm glad that you brought that up, because we gave away $350. So I think that's why we had so many people going to the open house, but 3 of us ended up writing offers on, there was 15 houses total. So 3 people out of the 15 houses did get offers. And so that makes it worth it.
Absolutely. Fantastic, right? And I have to think that maybe they wouldn't have gotten written so quickly had you not had the opportunity for all those folks to walk through 15 houses and go, well, these are all in my market. I want to look at, I want to buy, but getting to 15 houses and getting it scheduled and all the things is kind of a trick. So having that opportunity for those folks to go through all those houses and compare too a little bit, I think that's a fantastic idea. So if you are in the market and you're working with listing agents as a loan officer, that's a great opportunity for you to generate business and help those listing agents and possibly pick up some loans, right, Gregg? At the end of the day, that's how we get paid, I think, is closing home loans.
Yeah, that was a great event, and my entire team participated that day. We had Tiffany went to a few. Tiffany started at one end, I started at the other end, and then we had even Tyler came down that day, and so the 3 of us were rotating through all of the different houses throughout the day. We got to talk to, because Carla's so well respected, she was able to get realtors from every office here locally to participate in this open house, which, sometimes in a smaller market doesn't happen, where, offices don't want to necessarily work together. But she got all of the offices in on this open house. It was a really good event, really good.
Well, I love that you brought that up, because I think that, competition versus community, and we need to remember that those other agents at other places become a partner at some point. You're going to write a transaction, and on the other side of the transaction, you may run across those folks. So having that healthy relationship with others in your community, whether it's loan officers at other companies or real estate partners at other companies, is awesome, because then when you do come across a deal, or they run into a transaction, maybe that their company on the loan officer side has overlays, they know they can call you, and you're not going to try and steal their relationships. You're going to just try and help that customer get to the finish line. Or on the real estate side, sometimes there's things that come up on properties, and being able to have that really help, there is always healthy competition. I love that, because we're competitive people. We wouldn't be top performers in our craft if we weren't. But I do think that there's a balance between competition and community, and it sounds like you guys have struck a chord with that.
Yeah, we do other events as well. I mean, we did what they call it. They change the name every year, but basically it's a masquerade ball in the fall. Carla's really involved in that event as well. We raised money for Carbon Medical, which is a organization here that helps everybody regardless of their ability to pay. So they need additional funds. So we get involved with that every year. Becky, of course, makes all the food for 100 people. I don't know how she does it, but she does it.
I'm not surprised.
I don't know how she does it either.
Becky really loves doing the open houses a lot, and Carla's she's kind of the lead on that for this community, doing open houses. And Becky always makes some really fun things for her, and that's kind of spread because of Carla. Now I've got other agents in town that will call, and they want Becky to make stuff for their open houses as well, and that all came from Carla. So she's a good, she helps me build my business for sure.
You just need one super fan, and it sounds like Carla is that for you. And then that resonates, right? Carla, why did you think that, hey, if I go to other brokerages in my community and invite them to participate, what made you kind of come up with that? You respect those folks and you wanted to encourage that, or how did that kind of come to be?
I do respect our other offices, and for the most part, we really do work well together. But I did want that parade of homes atmosphere. I wanted people to be able to see the different homes, just like how you mentioned it. They get different varieties. It may change their mind, because there are some houses where from the outside, they may not have gone inside, but there was no pressure. They could walk through the door. They were playing a fun game, and ultimately it turned out really good.
That's awesome. Well, you both give back, it sounds like, a lot in your community. Let's speak to that, because I think that, as loan officers and agents, you can get distracted. I'm a big proponent of give back. I've done it my entire life, and it's very much a part of my DNA. But I think there's a difference between giving back and giving back in order to network and that type of thing. And so I think you can get distracted and give too much of yourself and not have business. And so there's a fine balance between those two. And I think healthy communities have folks like you that really do care and give back. But let's talk about that, because Carla, you're like nodding your head going, yes, there is a way you can give too much of yourself and then you don't have any business either. And that's how you feed your family and provide. So let's talk about that.
I think timing is everything. Example, when we do Wet Nose Wednesday, we do that really early in the morning on the radio station. So we're there by 7:30 a.m. So we're making sure that we're in the office by 8:30 a.m. So you really have to be very structured, and it's rewarding to give back, but as long as you're structured, it won't overwhelm you. It will even itself out.
Good. So lots of networking. So you guys do Wet Nose Wednesday, so everybody in town knows you. They all want the pups, I'm sure. If my daughter heard you, I'm sure that I'd have more than 3 dogs, and that would be not good.
It's hard
But-
sometimes.
Yeah, I bet I would think that would be so hard. I want to take all the pups home because, they're so darn cute, or kitty cats, or whatever you're doing. But, and so you've gotten to be well known in your community because of that. And then you continue to volunteer for different opportunities to network with just people in your community. And that's what I'm hearing, a lot of your networking. That networking drives a lot of the clients you meet and that you work with. Is that true?
I think so. I think that's true. What do you think, Gregg?
Well, I'm going to take just a second to brag. Last week, Becky and I were awarded the Community Service of the Year award at the Chamber of Commerce installation banquet. So, and that's, again, it's all Becky. She sits on the board for the Children's Justice Center. She sits on the committee for the Price Downtown District. I chair that committee, but only because Becky told me we were going to be on the committee. So somehow I ended up being the chairman. But, Becky makes the food for, and she really supports Carla and her efforts. And so it was nice. It was great to see Becky get that recognition last week. We got a beautiful plaque that's now sitting in the front of our office. We just get involved in a lot of the events, and Becky made a concerted effort this last year to push more towards supporting the realtors in the area, other than, instead of other events. I mean, obviously we sit on Main Street, so I get hit up by the cheerleaders and the baseball teams and, all the little leagues, all the kids programs, and we can't say yes to everything. But we've tried to really make sure that we're doing things that will help the community, and Becky's first love is supporting the realtors. So that's kind of where
you must have good teams. You can't get this job done I don't believe you can get the job done as a top performer in either of your crafts without having great support systems. So let's talk about those people in either your home life or your work life that help you ensure, because we talked a lot about Becky, but Gregg has a great team there at his office and that takes care of him. And then Carla, how about you? I mean, I'm sure that you both do. So let's talk about what kind of community you need around you, or your tribe, I call it. What kind of tribe do you need in order to get through your day, in order to be, let's circle back, because Carla just got awarded. What did you say for RE/MAX? Gregg, what was the award she got? She's very humble
Hall
and
of Fame.
Probably will not brag about herself. So
She's in the Hall of Fame.
No, but I will brag about my family.
Okay.
And my tribe is my family. And my daughter is actually a real estate agent. So we have a mom and daughter team, and my son is here and he helps with the property management. And my husband, he makes everything go round. So I do have a very great supportive team. But I do have to say, Gregg is helping my daughter buy her first home. We're going to close on it this week.
oh my gosh.
So
And
we're
of
super
course-
excited about that.
Of course, my team is my wife, number one, who drives everything. And then I have Tiffany, who's my loan partner. She's been with me for over 5 years, like 5.5 years. I have Nathan, who is my son as well, has worked for me he's 35 years old. So he's been in the mortgage business a long time. And he's the processor on my team. And then we just recently brought on Taylor, which is Tiffany's little sister, to help us, because we have walk-in business. It's, we're in a smaller community, mostly a blue-collar community, and a lot of folks here still want to walk into the office, sit down, and do a loan application. And so we have Taylor, who's here all the time. She's also licensed, and they're incredible. They work. My whole team has the same same feelings that I do. I mean, we technically close our hours at 2 on a Friday, but I don't think I can remember a Friday when everybody went home at 2. The last weekend was Tiffany's anniversary, and she was still in the office at 6:30. So,
Working on Bailey's loan.
yeah.
Well, and you bring up a really great point, both of you, about family and about, like Carla said, my husband does everything that I can't get to. And gosh, when you're giving so much of yourself to your customers, the people in your tribe, whether it's home or work, need to be in the game with you, so to speak. They have to be on your team. They have to understand what you're playing for. And just like Tiffany was in the office at 6:30, her husband could have been upset with her, but if he understands what you're playing for, then that behavior changes, right? Becomes more supportive, becomes a happier, healthier home. And so if you are in the mortgage or real estate space, you need to let your significant other or those in your kids and everyone know what you're playing for and why you do what you do and how you are making an impact, because home ownership really does drive communities, healthy communities. And so if you're listening to this and you're like, well, my spouse thinks I should only work 8 to 5, make sure they know what you're playing for and why you're playing the game. And that might help them be more supportive of you. Don't you both think?
Yeah, transparency is key. And I've been doing this since 2006. And my kids and my husband both know that we work 24/7, and that's okay. We love doing it.
Yeah, you can't, I don't believe you can be successful at this without your full support of your spouse, your partner. And if you don't have that, you're either going to be successful as a single person or you're going to move on to a different career. Because, my wife, she jokes all the time about, I've got pictures of you standing in the ocean on your telephone, at the beach with the kids, talking to somebody about a loan, at Disneyland with your laptop in the corner, taking an application, those things. That's how come you get to go to Disneyland, or how come you can go to the beach, is because of clients. And so we've always had the philosophy of, I'm going to take those phone calls. It's maybe going to take 5 minutes. Most people understand if I say, you know what, I'm with my family, but I've got here's my link. You can apply here. I'll follow up with you when I'm back in the office on Monday, but my team will reach out in the meantime. Like, they don't expect you to spend 2 hours on the phone with them when you're on vacation. But the fact that you take the call, or that somebody gets back to them immediately, is what's critical. And my wife has always understood that and been super supportive. She got mad at me this last year. I did try to take one trip without taking my laptop, and both of us had a miserable time. So she said that would never happen again.
She's like, you're taking your laptop. Well, hey, so one thing I get asked a lot is, Mandi, how do you have sustainability? And you both have been in the business a long time. And I think that this is something critical to survival of the fittest in the real estate space or the lending space, is that you are willing to delegate and get support around you. Tiffany, Taylor, they're younger in the business. I mean, I think the average age of a loan officer is like 56 or some crazy 62. I can't even remember now, but it's older, right? So those people are eventually going to be retiring. So the best thing we can do, if you've been in the business a while, or you're pulling your hair out and feel like you have no work-life balance at all, you just can't even, you're taking your phone to the restroom. I don't know. It's just nutso pants in your world. You have to get people around you that you can groom and raise up and elevate into your career, just like Carla did with her kids, just like Gregg has done with Tiffany and Taylor and Nate. I mean, to me, that allows you to go on vacation, like for the first time I did, and I didn't even put an out of office on. So people didn't really know I was out, but my team is such awesome human beings that they helped me get the job done and took care of those customers that I wasn't missed. And that is beautiful in this space, if you can really build that with people you can groom and trust, and they believe in you, right? And so you both have done that. Props to both of you. But do you have any kind of recommendations or comments as far as if somebody is like at the end of their wits and they're like, I'm getting out of this business because I'm losing my hair and I'm eating French fries and I feel like my health is deteriorating, and all the things I hear a lot on both sides of the fence. I think that you both have done a beautiful job of successful, healthy, happy careers, but how, right? So if somebody's listening, how did you guys do that?
I think you have to delegate it, honestly. I think you have to get up early, do your morning workout, a lot of meal planning, things like that. So then you don't feel like I'm eating French fries all the time. I'm not in control of what I'm doing and things like that. You definitely do have to take minutes throughout the day where you just reset and make sure that you're okay, because you are constantly moving and you're constantly figuring out other people's problems. It's a different level of stress. So I just think you have to navigate through it cautiously. And honestly, the more you take care of yourself, the better you are going to be as an agent.
Love that. I love that. Greg, how about you, friend?
I think part of it, when you're talking about, maybe eating French fries, there's two ways that can go. Either I'm too busy or I'm not busy enough, and that's all I can afford. I think the key to both of those is being organized. Like Carla said, getting up early in the day. She might exercise. I don't maybe do that, but while I'm having my coffee in the morning, I'm going through emails and kind of putting together my day and how it's going to go, and what closings do I have, what new appointments do I have, what marketing time do I have. I think the biggest problem with either a realtor that doesn't produce or a lender that doesn't produce is that they come to work and sit at their desk and stare at the computer and wait for something to happen. Whereas if you come in and you have your day schedule, like, okay, I've got this at 9, from 9 to 9:30, I've got this, from 9:30 to 10, I have this, I'm going to make phone calls from 10 to noon. Like, there's no free time there. You can take, I've got a lunch break, I'm going to do a lunch break or whatever. But the killer to both being unproductive is not being organized and having just downtime. If you're brand new to the business, you still could have an 8-hour day with things that you've got to do. And I think that's the biggest key. I mean, Carla doesn't have any free time. Once in a while, we're able to get together and have a lunch and just visit and have a friend's lunch. But those are, not regular, because typically we would rather use our lunches to make money. So it's just, occasionally we want to get together and just chat and make sure that we're both fine and not going to go to the hospital. But other than that, I really think that's the key, is just the organization. I've been doing this this is my 38th year, and I still have I call it my daily journal, but it's open every day, and I've got the tasks that I know that I have to do every single day. And again, I have a supportive wife who will make sure at the end of the day, before I come home, that all those things are done. Otherwise, I don't get to come home. So that's kind of been it for me.
So you think, would you quantify and say your superpower is organization and scheduling your day? I mean, everybody has kind of a superpower. They're either a great salesperson, or they are, so good with this type of property, or they're great with math. What I hear you both saying is keeping your calendars very buttoned up, very organized, and holding yourselves accountable to that calendar has been both of your superpowers.
I agree.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, you just can't have the time when you're sitting there trying to figure out what to do.
Right.
Because it's too easy, especially for a lot of both realtors and lenders. A lot of them work from home, and so, gosh, I don't know what to do. But golf just came on. I'm gonna go watch that for a few minutes, or my favorite soap opera's on at noon. I'm gonna go watch that. You've got to be. I don't work from home for that very reason. I don't think. As much as I like to stick to my calendar, my schedule, if I was at home, I would be too easy. There's a bed in the one room over there, and there's a TV in this other room, and so that's a big thing for me. I know that I try to get anybody that I work with to stay on a schedule, have certain tasks that they've got to do, so you've been successful, because there might be a day or two where Carla doesn't get a listing. How's she know if she's been successful? Well, she can look at her calendar, go, I did everything I was supposed to do today. And that means that I might get double listings next week because I'm doing the daily tasks, and that will result in results, which, by the way, is my word of the year for 2026.
Is results.
Results.
Love that. Well, hey, that's really what Origination Boost was started because, Greg and I very much, when we met, we just clicked because we look at the business the same way. And I agree with you. If you're out there and you don't have a paycheck, how do you quantify success? And I think you bring up a very valid topic because success in real estate or in mortgage takes time and it builds on itself. And those tasks that we do today are what is the catalyst for success down the road. And so when I created Origination Boost, it really was so our team had a scoreboard, and we have that same function for our agent partners that they can go in and they can log those activities. Like Gregg says, he can't go home until they're done because Becky's like, yo, you got more to do, friend. You got to go back and make those calls. So he had a checklist that he went down, right? And we built an app. And Gregg's been a big proponent of that. And because it aligned with his business philosophy that he'd been doing for years and years and years, it just became, a technological, item that we can use to count, keep track. So it sounds like, Carla, you feel like that way too. You quantify your wins by the productivity you have in your day, and then the closings, the listings, the sales are all a result of that.
That is correct. Honestly, he hit it right on the money.
What about if you're getting in this business, you look back on your beautiful careers, what advice would you give your young self? That now that you're like, gosh, if I knew that then, I would have started it then?
I don't know, because so much has changed since 2006. I don't know if I would change anything. I think I'm successful because of the way that I started out.
And that was it harder or?
No, it was easier back then. It really was.
Yeah, I would agree. It's just so different. I started in 1988. So, back then you could print out a rate sheet and go visit the offices and talk to them, and your rate was the rate. Now people can go on the internet, they find a billion different rates, and we don't do that anymore. I don't know how long it's been since I took out a rate sheet, but that's how, when I started, I was lucky enough to get hired. The first branch that I worked at, I had somebody that was my age now, he was in his 50s, I'm in my 60s, but nonetheless, he taught me like, hey, you got to go out every day and go talk to the realtors and be in their face and take them goodies, because if you don't, someone else will. And so I was very active from the beginning. I believe my first full year as a mortgage lender for the company I worked with, I ended up being their number 3 producer. So, but it was just because I had somebody like Frank, who, that was his name, taught me to, you don't just come to work to sit and play solitaire. You get out and hustle and go talk to realtors and talk to. One of my first best clients was a bank manager for a key bank, and that was because Frank said, "We'll go there too. They have loans that they can't do, so you want to be their go-to." And ended up being like, not only was I their go-to, he liked me more than their mortgage person, so I was their go guy. So anyway, so it's just always hustling. You gotta work. When I see people that come into this business as both a realtor or a lender, and they just come in the office and sit all day long and do nothing, they're never going to make it. And those are the people that are dropping out. I think over 50% of mortgage people didn't renew their license in 2026. And those were the ones that maybe got in back in the 2021, when it was really easy. All you had to do was pick up your phone or respond to an email. And one of the reasons I've enjoyed working with Carla is that she works the same way I do. She's a hustler. And I know every day, I can call her in the morning, anytime after 6, I might catch her during her workout, but I know she's up and working.
Yeah, we both are. And that makes it nice too.
Well, your younger selves, it sounds like you had a mentor in Frank. How about you, Carla? Did you have somebody that kind of helped you, or did you just learn by every day just showing up and, by mistakes and failing forward, I call it, you know. How did it look for you in your early career?
When I started in 2006, it was right before the big crash. And so my first year, I was able to get Rookie of the Year. I just hustled and I wanted to learn the business. I wanted to be successful. And then I was a young mom. And so I wanted to still be successful, but I still wanted to be a mom too. So I did partner up with a lady, and we were actually real estate partners for 7 years until she retired. And that helped because then we could bounce off of each other. We were able to build up our business and be successful with it. So I do owe a lot of credit to her too.
Awesome. Well, as we close out this episode of Origination Boost, tell me, what is your why? Why do you do what you do on your hardest days in this business? I know that you're both top performers and you make the business sound so easy and fun, which it comes with the hustle and the grit and the push and all of the things, and but on your hardest days in this business, tell the listeners what your why is.
My why is I was born and raised here. And so I've always loved Carbon County and Emery County, even though I wasn't born in Emery County, and the people. I just love doing it for the people. I meet so many young kids and older people, and they're just so appreciative. So this job really is rewarding.
I love that. I love it. How about you, Gregg?
It's very similar to what Carla just said, which is why we get along so well.
I'm just shocked that you guys are the same. I'm just absolutely shocked by that.
I love being able to go to the grocery store and seeing all the different people that I've helped buy a home. A lot of people that are my age that are still in the business are a senior vice president or president of a mortgage company. I never went into management because why I started this in the beginning and why I still do what I do is that I love helping people get into their home, and especially in a small community. It's awesome. You know, my daughter comes home from college, and when we go somewhere, she says, "Is there anybody that doesn't know you?" And you know, I enjoy that. I like helping people get into their homes. I like being able to drive around and say, "Oh, I did the loan on that house. I did the loan on that house." And because it's a smaller community, you run into those folks. And so, you know, when we do a client appreciation event, we have a lot of people that show up, and it's just fun. And the only other reason that I do this is Becky, right? I mean, at some point, I want to be able to, you know, be able to take her anywhere that she wants to go. And this job allows me to be able to do that.
I love that so much. Well, thank you both for being great partners first. And second, one of my most favorite things, thank you for being amazing humans that just happen to sell real estate and amazing human that just happens to do home loans. And as Gregg's sign behind him says, today is a great day to have a fantastic day. It's my pleasure having you both on. Thank you, and have an amazing week.
Thank you. See you later.